Once your data is in the cloud, the next opportunity is taking advantage of the services and capabilities around it. With Azure SQL Database Hyperscale, that means going beyond traditional database workloads and starting to integrate AI directly into your applications. And because Hyperscale is part of the broader Azure and Microsoft ecosystem, it helps you connect with analytics, AI, and application services, which are running on high-performance infrastructure, including AMD EPYC Compute. That means you can combine transactional data with real-time insights and AI-driven features without moving data across systems or building separate pipelines. This helps keep intelligence close to the data that it's built on.
And Hyperscale provides all the AI capabilities for today's developer, including things like vector searching and REST APIs built into the SQL Server engine. This allows for powerful applications like agentic RAG patterns to be done all in the familiar T-SQL language. We believe in AI assistance, so our popular tools like Management Studio, Azure Copilot, the Fabric SQL Editor, and Visual Studio Code to the MS SQL extension all have rich Copilot experience. And our framework allows for almost any model you need to be used for AI development. Now, developers, it's more than just AI technology. You want to make sure you have rich modern features inside the engine, including a native JSON type and a JSON index, regular expression support, and even things like change event streaming to power event-driven applications.
Customers are choosing Azure SQL Database Hyperscale for AI for several reasons. Like Bob mentioned, you can bring the AI to your data. It's purpose-built for AI workloads, and your workload can scale without complexity. Responsible AI is also built in, and you can use any surface, and one engine is going to have the security and the speed that you need. Bob, I'd love to take a look at an example.
Now let's take a look at Zava Lending's internal operational dashboard. What they'd like to do is add some AI capabilities. One of the things they struggle with is being able to search and find past loans, so they'll use vector searching inside the database to do things like narrative searching. In addition, they want to help their agents do something called loan scoring, like help decide whether they should accept a loan. So they can use built-in AI capabilities in Hyperscale to take data securely and use AI models to help them do that. Let's look and see how this works. So first of all, inside Visual Studio Code, I have some SQL scripts. For vector searching, I'm going to start with something called an external model. This is a definition that points to an AI embedding model, in this case in Microsoft Foundry. With this definition in place, I will go through and create a separate table where I'll store these embeddings as something called a vector data type, joining this when I need to my actual source data. Then, this is where it gets great. I can use the ability for built-in T-SQL functions to point to the model definition, generate my embeddings, and store them in a table. We're the SQL team. We want things to run fast. So we'll build a vector index on top of that native vector type to power a rich, fast search. So what does the searching actually look like? I can build a stored procedure like this to actually abstract vector searching to the application. I can take in a prompt, that natural language prompt, and other parameters to support what I call a true hybrid search. The first thing you need to do is generate embeddings for the prompt. Now I have two sets of numbers, a set of vectors for the prompt itself and vectors inside my actual table from the native vector type. I can use the new top with approximate function combined with the new vector search T-SQL command to do similarity searching on that data. And because we're SQL, you can do a full hybrid search combining those together. What does it actually look like? Here's an example of what you saw in the application. I'm going to get back results for this vague type phrase and search the most similar results in my database. I can see loan purposes that show up from these and look here at the narratives themselves. Often, one of the great things about vector searching is finding things in my text that are not part of my prompt. That's called similarity searching. We want to be able to insert data and support changeable vector indexing. So I can insert new rows and I can do searching back on, in this case, the named replica. I can offload my vector search to the named replica. I go back, I look at new loans, and new loans will show up that were not previously there. I've now supported an entire vector search on top of the application using a stored procedure. What about loan scoring? I can also build a stored procedure for that. I can take in an application ID, which has information I can look up in the database about the person we're trying to do a loan analysis for, and I'll do a couple of different steps to make this possible. The first thing I want to do is I want to go do a vector search against similar loans in the database based on the loan application for this particular user. With that in place, I can build a series of prompts. Yes, I can build system and user prompts to send to an AI model combined with that data I find in the database itself. Now, what do you do with these prompts? How do you talk to an actual AI model? I will use a system stored procedure. In this particular case, I'm going to talk to something called an AI gateway for content safety. But I'm going to pass in all the prompts and all the data to get back that rich response for the loan recommendation. And finally, I'm going to use a ledger table to store our decisions in an immutable record to make sure things are audible for the application itself. And when I go through and actually go run one of these, I'm passing in information about the application ID like you saw from the app we showed earlier, and I'll get back these results I can pass back for the actual loan decision. Now, using a stored procedure is great, but wouldn't it be nice to do something a little better? So I've built an MCP server using the new SQL MCP server on top of the stored procedure with Data API Builder. I can pass that in as a tool to a Foundry agent. That Foundry agent can use instructions and our tools to decide how to do loan scoring. It doesn't even know it's using a stored procedure behind the scenes. And the right-hand side here, an example chat can be done just like for that application. And the results will be passed back inside the Foundry agent playground to show, just like you saw earlier, a recommendation for this particular client on the actual loan decision. Now, we showed you we use an AI gateway earlier. Where would that actually come into play? Like, what if somebody tried to do something nefarious to our system and try to do something like jailbreaking? So we're going to score a different applicant in this case to see what would be the loan decision for this applicant. And you're going to see the results are going to start coming back that the loan was denied. The reason why is the gateway picked up something that was actually going to cause issues for privacy for our database. And as you scroll a little bit down further here, you can see the reason is somebody put something in the actual loan application that tried to reveal private information back to the database, but our AI gateway was there to prevent it. Now, what are you going to do with this Foundry agent application? One possible thing you can do is you can go publish this application in Microsoft Teams. Yeah, Microsoft Teams. And so loan agents, instead of going through just Foundry agent, can go into Microsoft Teams now in a familiar workplace and a system they're using and do loan scoring through here. This is going to use a Foundry agent, our SQL MCP server, and the store procedure inside SQL securely to help them do actual loan scoring. So I've started with vector searching, REST APIs, and built a complete AI end-to-end application.
Amazing. So I think the key takeaway here, and you've learned a lot about, is how you can use Azure SQL Database Hyperscale and use it to integrate AI into your existing or new applications. Now, the next steps for you might be to integrate AI into your existing applications with Azure SQL Database Hyperscale. And a great way to get started with that is the DP800 certification. Thanks for joining us on this video series. Check out the link below to learn more.